Let's get right into it. So, why don't you begin by telling us a little bit about your background, your educational background and work experience?
So I'm a mechanical engineer from NIT Durgapur. I passed out in 2012, and since then I've been working in the automobile sector for the last 7.5 years now. Currently I'm in the service department, but I started in the production line. So I have kind of seen like from the beginning of the manufacturing to the final arena where we basically deal with the customers. I've seen the entirety of the automobile sector.
So, throughout your experience, you have been associated with the automobile industry.
Yes.
That's very nice. So, how do you think of doing GMAT and MBA? How did that came into picture?
Well, part of it was the fact that MBA is also a financial decision. If you want to go for an MBA, you have to think about how you're going to pay for it and how everything is going to work out. So part of it was that. But there's another factor that I think many of the people who have been working after their engineering for 6 to 7 years, it is the time. After 6 to 7 years, you basically start understanding the gap that is there between the people who have already completed their MBAs and yourself. Like the gap that I'm talking about, it can be in terms of the money that you're earning, of course. Also in terms of the kind of work that you're doing. So, like when I started working in my current company, pretty soon, in 3 to 4 months, I realized that I am still at a very implementation level of activity. I'm just implementing. Someone else is making those decisions, and I am implementing for a territory. My manager is implementing for a region, and his manager is implementing for a zone. So, if I were to continue in this profile and end up in a position where I'm actually making those decisions, it would take me a long time, probably more than 10 years.
So for GMAT, how many attempts did you take? Your score is pretty good, 730.
Yeah, well, this was in one attempt.
Wow, very nice.
Thank you.
So how do you manage your work, which is I'm sure a very demanding one, along with the GMAT preparation?
Absolutely. I'm in the service industry right now, so we are supposed to be available 24/7. Even if it's a holiday, we're supposed to be available on our phones and laptops, and and our phone numbers are out there in the workshops. So any customer can give us a call at any point of time, and we have to attend it. So it's a very demanding job, and even the working hours. The time we actually spend in office is like 10 to 11 every day on an average. So it was difficult, but what I would suggest, if anybody else is there in a similar situation, what I did was I made sure that I will study every night. Every night, be it for just half hour or 1 hour or 2 hours. I normally tried for 2 hours, but it was not always possible. But I made sure that I would study every night. And to do that, you're going to have to let go of a couple of things. You might not be able to go out with your colleagues as much as you used to. You might not be able to go to that Sunday movie that everybody else is planning for. But then you have to do those things. And weekends are very important because that's the time you really have to devote to yourself. So it's just, it's that you have to give time for it.
Consistency.
And every day. Some people tell me that, you study for 4 days, you have fun the rest of the 3 days. But personally for me, that was not working. I tried that at the beginning, but those 3 days when I had fun, I didn't feel like studying on the 4th day. So you have to keep doing it every day.
So yeah, for preparation review, which platform, online or any other additional coaching would you recommend?
I didn't take any additional coaching. What I did was I basically I bought a few books. Those books, the material of those books were available online.
Okay.
Once you buy them, they give you a code, and you have to just put the code in, and that entire material is available online. So I started. Early on, I started solving questions from the computer itself because that's how the GMAT is. So I didn't spend much time, going about it on a pen and paper. Pen and paper is always there, but I didn't do it from the book because those websites and all, they give you that GMAT kind of feel. There's a timer at the top, so you can time yourself for each and every question. So I started with that. The next thing I did when I was when I was doing these, solving just solving questions, not really in a test format, but just solving questions and timing myself. After that, I bought test series from Veritas and Manhattan.
Okay.
So those test series really helped me. The Veritas is more similar to the actual GMAT,
Okay.
and I felt personally that the Manhattan was actually more difficult.
Okay.
But that's how it helped me.
Hmm.
Because when you are doing good on Manhattan, you can actually expect a
Do great on GMAT.
yeah you can do better on the actual GMAT. So those things helped. I gave an exam every weekend consistently. I made sure that I'm giving an exam.
By exam you mean mock test?
A full mock test.
Okay. And how much you were scoring on the mock tests?
I wasn't scoring much in the beginning. I was scoring below 700.
Okay.
Towards the end, only on 2 papers I scored 70.
Okay.
So the actual GMAT score that I had, that was the highest score I've ever had, including the mock
That's
tests.
awesome. That would be a pleasant surprise for anyone.
Maybe it was just lucky.
So let's now talk about the real MBA application, because we usually think that GMAT is the most challenging aspect, but once we are done we realize that it is just a tiny aspect and the real work begins now. So let us talk about that. How did you go about your MBA applications?
Yeah, so I felt the same. After I completed my GMAT, I was relieved. Then I realized that less than half of the actual work is done. So first thing is about selecting the colleges, and I think that is a personal choice based on what you want to do after MBA. And also, enough material is available online, so one can easily research about the colleges. And it's always good to speak to people who have tried for those colleges or people who have studied there. After I was done with selecting the colleges, then came the actual application process.
So I think the most important aspect is the essay writing. So how did you tackle that essay writing, and what are some of the tips that you would like to give the prospective students?
Right. So when I started, I was totally clueless about what I was supposed to write. So what I did was I went through a lot of essays which are present online. Some of them are real essays which previous students have uploaded online, and some of them are just sample essays. I went through a lot of material, and the thing is that you can't really take something from the internet and make it your story. It has to be your own story, right? But what we can do is we can get on how to structure it. We can get an idea on that. The second thing is, I think authenticity really matters. It doesn't really have to be a very interesting story. If it is not true, then I think the people who are in the committee where they select you or they reject you, they're clever enough to both see through that. So I think if we keep it authentic, we keep it crisp to the point, it really helps. And so basically people write about their achievements. So here's something that I realized while I was writing my essays is that we have to write about our achievements rather than company's achievement.
Right, or the team's achievement.
Yeah, or the team's achievement. You helped in the team's achievement. That is good. But you should also touch the points about what you achieved from that particular process. What did you get out of it? What did you learn, or what did you start doing since that day? Or what did you realize which helped you in further future situations? So what was the personal impact? I think that is something that many people do not cover in their essays. They talk about how they did something brilliant, but they don't talk about how it affected them personally.
Another important aspect which a lot of students struggle with is the extracurricular aspect or the hobbies part of it. People often feel that you have to have a social experience or you have to have a leadership experience, and they're really worried about, can I write something, singing or dancing, which is my personal interest as a hobby. So how did you deal with it?
So my hobby is drawing, so it is a very personal thing. So even I was very skeptical about it because it doesn't really portray a lot of leadership roles, and everybody is talking about those things. But at the end of the day, I do believe that it's okay to be authentic. What I did is I wrote why I do it and how it affects me, and that's all I put in there, and somehow it worked. So maybe it's okay to put things like that, personal hobbies which are not
Absolutely, because I also feel as long as you are passionate about it, as long
Yeah.
as you are able to talk about it, it should be definitely okay to write about it.
So what I did is I kind of I made a parallel. On one side, I am object oriented, being an engineer and having worked in this profile for so long, and on the other side, there's a part of me which likes to play with the different variables and see where it goes. So that gives me a creative side. That gives me the will to explore beyond the set boundaries. So I wrote about that, and that was something which is true for myself. But people can try to link things in that manner.
Absolutely. And that's where the authenticity is so important.
Yeah.
And now the trickiest part, the interview. You have written the application and submitted, and you get the most awaited interview call, and it brings all sorts of anxiety with it.
So the first interview that I went for was the IIM Bangalore interview. It was in Bangalore, and it was the first interview. So I was pretty relaxed because I didn't know what to expect in that. I mean, I had read the interview experiences which are present online. I had spoken to a few people who had given the interviews. But again, it's such a personal experience for everybody that I couldn't make up my mind on what exactly should I expect. So that interview, I don't even remember. I mean, how I went about it. But what I do remember is I wasn't too confident. I wasn't even sure of what I was saying, and that's not good. And so I got waitlisted for IIM Bangalore. I didn't make it, but the interviews after that, especially the ISB interview, it was very difficult in the way that there was a lot of cross questioning. They didn't ask me anything about my job. They didn't ask me anything about my post MBA goals. Very little. I mean, just one or two lines. And it was just a case study kind of a situation where they gave me a certain situation and they wanted me to provide them with the answer. And I was bombarded with cross questioning throughout around 30 minutes. I think the interview went around 30 minutes, and I was just one question after the other. I couldn't even finish my answers. But what I did do is I stuck to my initial theory. I stuck to it throughout. I didn't change it. I didn't modify it, but I didn't let it go. And I wasn't very happy after the interview, to be really honest. But the only thing that I was sure of, that I didn't let go of my theory, and that should help me, which it did, and I did get selected after that. So apart from all this, I have also given the IIM Ahmedabad and IIM Calcutta interview. For both of them, I have been selected. I would say what helped me, especially in the Ahmedabad interview, was because that particular interview was it was more of a conversation. And it was at the Ahmedabad interview that I realized that we also have a certain power to divert the interview in the direction that we want. There are situations where you go blank. You were about to say something and all of a sudden you realize that there's nothing. So how to fill those spaces? So I took a little sip of water. I put my file on the table and I asked them, "Can I put it here?" Because those 5-6 seconds that you get, you can use them to get it back.
They matter a lot.
And you're not just sitting there with a very awkward silence. You're actually saying something. So you can mask your what do I say, the fear that you have or whatever. So I think that helps a lot. And eye contact, that helped me because somehow it gives me a little bit of confidence, and I try to speak to them, and I break down my answers. Like if they ask me something, I say something, and then I seek validation from them. Like, right? This is what happens, right?
Basically engaging them.
Yeah, engaging. What that gives me is it keeps the scenario less question and answer type and more of a discussion type. And if I am calm, then I know that I will be doing good in the interview. So basically, everybody must have different ways of going about it, but it should be a calm interview. If we get worked up, then all bad things start happening.
Absolutely.
So you have to figure out how you stay calm. I stay calm when there are pauses in between, there are gaps in between.
How long did that interview go?
Ahmedabad interview was about 25 minutes.
Yeah, and it's well known for its extempore. How did you
handle
that?
So I got I got a topic which was has caste-based reservation outlived its purpose in India, and this is a very common topic. I mean, we can speak. I mean, I can speak both for it and against it. I chose to speak for it. It was good. I mean, they give you like a minute to put down your thoughts. Yeah. So once I did that, I had like a flow chart so where I should start and where I should finish. But yeah, they do cross question you a lot, and you do have to be a little on your toes to to be able to answer them back. And it's okay to answer them back. I did it, but it's also important to acknowledge if they are absolutely correct, because you shouldn't appear as someone who's not ready to listen to reason when it's valid. So yeah, again, try to get it into a conversation mode where people are just discussing rather than pointing each other's flaws.
And I think we all do it at office, chai pe charcha, we often pick up a topic and we talk to our colleagues about it.
Yeah, so if you go about that, and it did get confusing for me. So he was trying to tell me that, so you're telling me this, and I was confused. No, I'm not telling that, you are telling that. And then we all had a big laugh because it was all confusing. And I was like, okay, let's clear it out. This is what I'm trying to say. So you have to be calm about it. Yeah. You can't just go inside and get scared that okay, now they have me and they will they will turn it around. You can't do that. Even if you feel like okay, this is going somewhere that I can't control. You just say that. Take your time. Say that okay, I need some time. This is what I'm trying to say. I don't want it to get to
staying cool-headed is the key. That was awesome. So if I had to quickly summarize the entire experience, consistency is the key while GMAT preparation, and authenticity is the key when you are writing your essays or the entire application, and staying calm is the key when you are in the interview. So I think these three are
and having a conversation with them.
And having a conversation with the interviewers.
Not just answering questions.
Absolutely. So these are very, very useful insight, and I'm sure our viewers would be really benefited from it. Thank you so much for taking it.